Why are you so driven to write?
I guess it's a way of keeping things alive. Saving things that will eventually die. If I write it down, then it'll last forever.
Stories are the language of pathos. As you could have probably guessed, I love movies, but more than movies, I love stories. What makes a story truly something special for me is its ability to make me feel emotions. A lot of my inspiration for video essays and dissections come from the place of having felt something as a result of viewing any given piece of media. So for this video, I thought it most appropriate to share one of, and probably my favorite movies of all time, Nocturnal Animals. Now, to preface, I'm certainly aware that there are many masterpiece works that are objectively better movies than this one. Movies such as Interstellar, Good Will Hunting, Citizen Kane, The Dark Knight, and Shawshank Redemption, to name a few. But when you've seen as many movies as I have, it gets harder and harder to answer a very simple but common question. What's your favorite movie of all time? Yes, so simple and common, yet honestly it's one of the hardest questions to answer for me. Because on any given day I could argue why X movie is best, or how Y movie changed my perspective on life, or how Z movie fundamentally altered my brain chemistry. To pick just one? That seems impossible, as I've thought about this question quite often. If I had to give an answer, only one movie, Nocturnal Animals is my choice, and throughout the duration of this video I will be unpacking some dark subject matter and why this movie has cemented itself as my favorite of all time. With understanding that there are plenty of top tier films out there, objectively speaking, I will be giving an answer to this question through the subjective lens of myself and my life experiences. For some of you watching, this may seem like a weird pick for number one, but I feel once I've shared my personal connections and interpretations, maybe you'll see this movie from a different point of view and possibly understand. If not, no biggie, and I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to Both Angle Reviews. Spoilers ahead for 2016's Nocturnal Animals, and let's begin. This movie starts off on a very odd note, which does have a purpose as the layers of the movie begin to unravel itself. I will get to that part later, but the art shown at the beginning of the film, I believe, is an exaggerated, exploitative, dry, and unfulfilling showcase of what is meant to be, quote-unquote, profound art. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, and it's not exactly content that I can show or share on YouTube. Nocturnal Animals tells us three stories. Thematically and sometimes metaphorically, the three stories are linked and flow with perfect pacing. The first story is about an artist named Susan. She is living her dream life as a successful artist, but is completely unfulfilled, and also in a failing marriage with her husband, Hutton. Her husband's business is failing, and she isn't sleeping at night. She also discovers her husband is having an affair. In this state of restless discontent, she one day receives a copy of a book sent from her first husband, Edward, from 19 years ago, titled Nocturnal Animals. She then begins to read this story, which is shown to us as the second story happening in the movie. In this book, she reads a harrowing revenge thriller about a man who has his wife and daughter taken and killed in the middle of nowhere in West Texas. The sequences shown in this part of the movie are very upsetting and go to very dark places. In fact, there's about a 15-minute sequence in the book that takes us, the viewer, and Susan, the reader, on a sickening nightmare. This brings us to the third component of this trinity, the story of Susan and Edward's past relationship. In specific moments throughout the movie, we witnessed a bright beginning, troubled middle, and spirit-crushing ending of this young love between Susan and Edward. I say specific because as we move on into interpretation, we see that the timing in which the scenes are shown show a direct metaphorical representation expressed in Edward's book. Stylistically, the runtime of Nocturnal Animals reveals puzzle pieces about Susan's past, events in Edward's book, and the effects that her choices had on her current life. The timeline of events in the movie is as such. We learned that Edward and Susan's relationship had been strained due to an unapproving mother on Susan's side, and core character types that each person was at the time during their relationship. Susan's mother's pressure, Edward's sensitivity when creatively expressing himself through his writing, and the fear that Susan had of possibly not having a quote-unquote successful future made it challenging to stay in the relationship.
Face you're saying when you sigh, whatever you're saying it when you say you want me to go back to school.
Well, yeah, I do want you to go back to school. I don't see what's wrong with that. I mean, I'm just being a realist. I mean, what, you're gonna work at a bookstore and just write a novel? Like, that's what you want to do with your life?
With the introduction of Hutton as well, the theoretical perfect husband for Susan and her family's ideal choice, Susan buckles under the pressure and gets an abortion, seemingly behind Edward's back. It's after this moment that Edward sees Susan with Hutton in a car, confiding in him over what she had done. This man connects the dots, that his unborn child has been killed and his wife has also fallen in love with a different man. Fast forward to current times, we see a regretful Susan in a miserable marriage and unfulfilled with the projections her mother had placed on her happiness for the future. A husband who doesn't love her in a life where she was told she would be happy in, now unable to get a good night's rest. And as she finishes Edward's book, she sees a glimmer of hope to once again be happy. She asks to meet up to catch up and also shows support for his work. We can see on the screen her breaking out of the depressive state she's in, with the chance of seeing Edward again after 19 years. However, in the end, Edward stands her up, leaving her abandoned just like she abandoned him all those years ago. This movie is pretty much a revenge movie within a revenge movie, because we get to see how the characters in Edward's book get their revenge on the main antagonist Ray, and we also see a changed Edward get his revenge on Susan after he's made art that is truly profound, and has moved on from her. When we see Susan's face at the end of the story, I believe that this is when she too realizes all the meanings of Edward's story. I grew up with an appreciation for revenge movies, older style westerns, and romance. I'm also an author myself who is currently in the process of publishing my first short story anthology and currently writing a horror romance novel. Nocturnal Animals is truly special. In each of the scenes and formatting of the movie, I was mesmerized. The fact of the matter is, this movie pulls off 3 different genres of stories, ties them together cleanly, and elicits such a strong emotional response from me every time I watch it. It's just my favorite. It does not matter how many times I've watched this, it always brings me back to the places in my life where I was suffering at my most. I appreciate that this movie shows romance, heartbreak, true suffering, regret, the weight of loss, agony, anger, and so much more in a profound way. I've had many loves in my life, and many times I've found myself expressing this exact scene, pleading for someone to see what I see in the relationship.
Do you love me?
That's not the point.
No, that is the point.
No, it is not.
That is the point.
That is not the
You
point.
didn't answer me.
Yes, I love you.
But when you love someone, you work it out. You don't just throw it away. You have to be careful with it. You might never get it again.
I can't do this with you anymore, Edward.
Throughout my life, I've loved hard, and I've lost even harder. This movie will always tap into that nerve inside me, flood back all of the memories I carry with me now. And as I watch this movie, the feelings and the characters feel so real. I can imagine what Edward was feeling when he wrote his book. I picture the metaphor and can relate to the pain that went into his work. Which leads me to the amount of detail this movie has. It feels so meticulously and masterfully made. Like when Susan sees Ray in the baby monitor and drops her coworker's phone. The reminder of her abortion, a shocking jump scare that shows the parallel between Susan and Ray. The green shoes of Ray and the green dress of Susan at the end of the film. The paper cut Susan receives unwrapping the book sent to her. This is a symbolic blood drawing for Edward's inevitable revenge. The southern setting in which the book is placed in almost has the cold and unforgiving culture of Susan's parents and the roots of the two characters' past in Texas. The Lieutenant Bobby Andes being this sort of enigma of a man who is hell-bent on justice, with little to no backstory that the character wishes to even speak about. A man dying of cancer who just wants justice to be served. This character is a highlight and such a presence in the movie. I envision that Bobby Andes is the man of which Edward wanted to be after his biggest flaw and insecurity is being weak. A man that can fight back and stop injustices from occurring. Someone who could kill the weakness in him and overcome evil. The scene that breaks me the most is when Tony, the main protagonist of Edward's story, can't pull the trigger and avenge his wife and daughter. So Bobby kills one of the antagonists while the other escapes. Tony breaks down.
Hey. You know I had to shoot him, right?
I don't give a goddamn fuck that you shot him. I'm glad that you shot him. I'm fucking glad that he's dead. Yeah! I should have stopped it. I should have protected him. I should have seen it coming. I should have stopped it. I should have stopped it.
It's okay.
I should have stopped it.
It's okay.
This is not just Tony being upset, talking about how he should have saved his wife and daughter. This is also Edward, metaphorically expressing how he should have stopped Susan from doing what she did 19 years ago. There are so many more details that I want to share about Nocturnal Animals, but now I will move to the conclusion of this video. I've experienced this exact moment in my life, wishing I did something different, wishing I could have stopped the uncontrollable, falling to my knees in anguish as the things I love most were taken from me, becoming truly broken. This movie cuts deep. Anyone who knows true loss will understand, and this brings me back to why it's my favorite movie of all time. Stories are the language of pathos. Stories are the movies we play in our minds, reliving pain, expressing happiness, suffering, and peace. As humans, we play memories in our heads, like our own movies, our stories of experiences. And when we get to know one another, there's always a story, and oftentimes we love one another through the stories we carry with us and share with each other. The story of Nocturnal Animals is as if my memories were made into a movie, and I'll never forget them.